In this series of WordPress tutorials, I'd like us to create a WordPress blog or website for beginners, and I'll take you step by step from the basics. And in this introduction, what I'm going to cover is as follows. So we're going to be looking at how you can create a WordPress blog, or the why. Why do you need to do that? The what will your blog be about? Next up, you're going to look at what do you need to create a WordPress blog or website? And then we're going to just cover some few basics on how much does it cost to buy a domain name and also host a WordPress website. And once we're done with this part of introduction, the next tutorials will be us getting down and creating the WordPress blog step by step. So welcome to this video. My name is David, and I hope that you're going to have a good time as you watch this few series so that you can start building your own websites either for yourself or even for other clients in this series. So let's begin. How to create a WordPress blog for beginners. So why do you need to create a WordPress blog? Potentially, I like to look at things in two ways. You either want to entertain people or educate people, but we can also add motivation, inspire, or to make money. Now, if you're thinking about educating people, you can write things like tutorials to educate people about a particular application, let's say DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, or whatever it is that you're into. So you might want to educate people. The easiest way to do it is having a self-hosted blog. And there are two different types of WordPress blogs that we're going to look at just in the next section. But there's WordPress.com and also WordPress.org, which results in a self-hosted blog. So the why you need to create a WordPress blog is either if you want to educate people on a particular subject. It doesn't matter what it is. You either want to entertain people. It really depends on your needs for having a blog. You either want to motivate, to inspire. Maybe you write inspirational stories, do inspirational music, and want to have a home for your content. A self-hosted blog is a good way to do that. Finally, you want to make money. In the recent past, making money blogging is one of the biggest topics that you'll find. People want to make money from their blogs, either with guest posting, people pay you to post on your blog, either you do reviews for products, etc. It really depends on what you're looking at. So those are the whys. Let us look at what will my blog be about. This is more or less referred to as a niche, a niche, whatever you want to call it. But these are the topics that you'll focus on, and people tend to call this a niche, e.g. work from home, finance, cars, building websites, nutrition, software reviews. It doesn't matter what it is. Your blog will be about what you want it to be about. It can also even be about your life. You want to give people about an experience you've had, and most of the times you find like mom blogs begin off as a result of an experience mothers go through, maybe during pregnancy and all that, etc. It doesn't really matter. It all depends on what you want to talk about. Now, what do you need to create a WordPress blog? Basically, there are three things. A niche, and this niche is what we just talked about. It is what has your ideas. It is what has the content that you want to talk about. The second thing you need is a domain name, and a domain name is the name of your blog. For example, I have a blog, freelancerinsights.com. That is the name of my blog. And then the final ingredient is a web hosting account. And this is where your website is going to live. So those are just the three things that you need. Next up, how much does it cost to buy a domain name and host a WordPress blog? Now, this really depends, and you can buy a domain name for as cheap as $2, depending on the extension, maybe .com, .tech, etc. And it can go up to whatever number you're going to get on the particular service that you're going to be using. Now, as for hosting, it really depends. Most hosting companies will always have this introductory price for maybe a year. And then you'll notice that over the subsequent years, it either goes up, and why they do that is potentially for you to subscribe or buy like a 3 or 4 or 5 year package. Mostly have 3-year packages, so that keeps your cost down if you do that. But we're going to just look about everything, and the amount that it costs to host a WordPress blog really depends on the number of websites you want to host. the storage space, monthly visitors, priority for support. Those are some of the few factors that really influence what or how much it's going to cost to host your blog. So now that we've looked at that, let us just get started, but not by creating, just going over some of the few things that we just talked about. Now, as I show you through the interface on the website, on the different websites, let's just go to the next screen here. And there are two versions of WordPress. There's WordPress.com, and this you can just create easily. It's free, but you can also move it to a self-hosted blog. But if you wanted to do the WordPress.com without spending any coin, then we're going to click on Start Your Website. But for the website that we're going to be creating, we want to spend some money because we want it to be self-hosted. Next up, you can fill out all the details and follow the on-screen prompts. We are not going to do that for this introduction. And also, our focus is on a self-hosted WordPress blog. So we'll go to the next one. And this is WordPress.com. WordPress.com is where themes, plugins, all these kinds of things live. And more or less, if you click on Get WordPress and you already have hosting and all that, then this is where you can download the installable package for WordPress so that you can install it on your website and all that. But most hosting companies really have everything built at the backend. And you'll see that when we begin the introductions or just the bare bones or the basics of creating a WordPress website. So WordPress powers 41% of the web. So potentially all the websites that you might visit in a day, at least 41% of all the websites on the internet are powered by WordPress. Why? Because it is easy to use, easy to maintain, and most of the times it is easy to configure and mold it the way you want it to be. So here's an example of a WordPress built website. This is my website, freelancerinsight.com. It's just a pretty simple, basic website. And for this tutorial, there's nothing to complicate things. Just keep it simple and short. Just simply, whatever it is, this is a title, whatever, this is a featured image, and whatever you want to add here. Maybe an author section here, describing yourself to people that might need to know you right off the bat, some blog post here, etc. But this is more or less what a blog looks like. So we get into the domain name, and for this I'm doing tutorial videos, freelancing content, work from home content. Mostly that is my niche. More or less tutorials is my niche, subtitling and captioning, video editing, etc. So that is the niche. What about the domain? The domain name. Now, the domain name, as we have mentioned, this is what your website is. That is the name of your website. For example, mine is freelancerinsight.com. So what is your website going to be about? This is a domain name, godaddy.com. So depending on the service that you're going to use, that is the where you're going to purchase your domain or where you're going to host your website, you have different options. You can find your domain. That is, if you want to get a domain name using GoDaddy, you can just input a name that you're thinking about. Let's say we want to do nutritionforall.com, and then you just click on search domain. If this particular domain name is available, then you can actually get it. But since you'll notice this is a premium domain, this domain is already taken and you would have to buy it for this particular amount. That's not what we want to do, because we want to look for a domain name that is available and can be used for free. So these are something you need to look at. But GoDaddy, Namecheap, you'll find that most people will end up buying their websites or domain names there, and then use a different hosting site. So you find people buying from GoDaddy, domain name, or Namecheap, and then using a different hosting to actually host their website. That is where the website lives. But let's just say you just want to instantly get a domain name. Now, one of the most favorite websites I've used over the years is called Instant Domain Search. And this particular website shows you results of whatever you type. For example, if you're looking for let's just say scuba diving. That's already available. It's taken. But you see, if you're looking for with a domain name of extension.ke.ai, you can actually buy this particular domain from different domain name sellers: GoDaddy, domain.com, Shopify, etc. But let's say scuba diving besties. Now, let's say you and your best friend want to start a domain name on scuba diving besties, talking about your experiences, talking about the gear that you can use for scuba diving, etc. Really depends on what you want to go with. But when you look at this now, we now have a green URL. scubadivingbesties.com is available. Now, if you want to purchase this particular domain name via GoDaddy, you can click that. You can also click on the drop down to see other options where you can buy: name.com, Google Domains, Namecheap, Dynadot, etc. And the list goes on and on. If I just hover again here, you'll see all this: Gandhi.net, Epic, NameSilo, Pokban. Really depends on what you want. But let us say you just wanted to look and find if this particular domain name is available. Then, if you wanted to buy it via a web hosting company and minimize, since we are beginners, we don't know how things work. We want to minimize the linking or changing name servers once we create our blog. That is, if we had to buy domain names from different hosting or different services, then we can just use one particular website. So for example, I'm looking forward to doing this particular website: everyday family nutrition, everydayfamilynutrition.com. So that's a website I want to do, and that's what I'm going to be creating in this series of tutorials. So I see the name is available. That's pretty awesome. Just remove it from there and we go back to the default search. Now, let's assume we've already found out that a domain name is available. The next thing we might need to do is, if we have decided not to buy a domain name from any of these particular websites, that is GoDaddy or Namecheap, then you might decide to go to a website like HostGator. HostGator is a web hosting company, but they also offer the option to buy domain names, etc. All those things are available here. So all you need to do is just look at how much are they charging. So a ton of website hosting options, 99% uptime with a free domain for a year. So you see the trick they're using: free domain for a year, and you get started from this. And then we can just scroll down slightly and you'll see all the different options they have. They have shared hosting, website builder, WordPress hosting, VPS hosting, dedicated hosting. If you wanted shared hosting, which most people will have to go with if you're a beginner, or if you're testing out the waters, you can go with this. If you want to go with the WordPress hosting option, you can go with this. That is hostgator.com. There's Hostinger, and all these particular hosting companies all have maybe the same options available. This is $259 per month as well. And you'll see, if you scroll down, you'll see a single shared hosting, one website, 30 GB, 10,000 visits monthly. You'll see now most of them really depend on some few things: the space, how many websites you can host, the number or monthly visitors, the domain, just basic things. If you move up, you'll see the different options available. Really depend on what you want to add extra to your package. We go to another web hosting company, Bluehost, the same thing, $295 per month. And you'll notice there is almost a similarity that all websites or hosting companies almost have the same options, just some minor issues. And the thing I'd like you to notice is, if you decide to go with the $299 per month, mostly go for 36 months per term, that is 3 years. So if you calculate this times 12 and then times 36, that is what you need to look into, so that if you feel that a particular hosting company is one that you'll want to use, then you can purchase a bigger plan at a cheaper price for the next 3 years. But remember that sometimes hosting companies change, and the different options might change, and your website might be slower or whatever thing that might happen. But just make sure, if you're looking for a hosting option, just go with one that really works for you, and do enough research so that you get the best hosting option available. We also have WP Engine. It's another one. And most of these websites, hosting websites I've talked about, HostGator, Hostinger, Bluehost, mostly, for example, since I'm in Kenya, are international. So they're available worldwide, and you can use them to work on that. And you can also, the good thing is that most of your content is going to be served worldwide. They have maybe in quotes better systems, etc. But what I can say is, if you don't have the experience with hosting plans or hosting companies outside your country, you can try your local country. There must be web service providers. Also, some people maybe don't have ways to pay via different options. And maybe, for example, in Kenya, you can easily buy hosting and a domain name using M-Pesa. So this is, and as you can notice where my this talk is headed, we are going to be creating and hosting our website using a local hosting company in Kenya. So we can just scroll down to see the different options. You'll also see WP Engine has different options available here. So you can see what's included: one sites, the number of monthly visitors, local storage, bandwidth, etc. All these things are things that you need to look into. But since your website is new, and I'll put it in quotes, you don't expect maybe to get 75,000 visitors a month. It's not impossible, but for starters, you might need to go with the cheapest plan, and you can upgrade if need be. So depending on the website or the web hosting company you choose, you might need to start with the smaller plan and then upgrade as you see maybe the visitors on your website or your needs ask from you. And then we have SiteGround. You can just scroll down to see the different options available. Let's just say we want hosting, WordPress hosting. And if you go for this, you'll see how much they charge normally. And this they've discounted from $14.99, one website, 10 GB, 10,000 visitors. And this is potentially the bestseller or the one that most people tend to use, etc. But you can see the pricing. But if you look at this, potentially will end up being about $100 per month if you go for this, and then you buy for 3 years. That's about $300. But as I've mentioned, different companies are coming up with different technologies that make web hosting easy and fast. And then we have an option like Kingstar. This is also another option that is good, and you can check out Kingstar as well. Those are some of the few international plans available. For example, this one for $30 a month. If you do this, then that means you're going to be spending about $360 per month. So you need to look at all those options and avoid maybe paying for something that, since you're new or since you're a beginner, that you might not need and waste a lot of money. But let us say, since we're in Kenya, we want to host our website in Kenya. There are a couple of solutions available. For example, here is sasahost.com, .co.ke, sorry. You can check out the options available. If you look at this option, cPanel Basic Hosting 1, cPanel Hosting Basic 2, 3, and 4, and you can see the differences in pricing. So depending on what country you're in, then you can check out, maybe you can type in web hosting companies in, let's say you put your country, Kenya, Tanzania, Japan, whatever country you're in. So you'll also see how much space they give you, the monthly bandwidth, SSH. You'll see all these things that maybe people want to do. And the difference is extremely minimal. If you look at all these things, the differences are extremely minimal. So you don't really need to work yourself off if you want to just start a website. Share. Remember the importance of doing a website. Why are you doing it? You want to educate or entertain, motivate, inspire, and make money. So you can start off with the simplest option, and if you feel that you want to move your website from the local hosting companies, you can use all these other companies that we've already talked about to host your company. And then we can look at another website that is truehost.co.ke. And for clarity, None of these websites have paid me to talk about them. I've actually not said anything good about them, but these are all options that you can do. For example, if you wanted to search maybe the websites we just searched, scuba diving besties, and then we just choose a .com here, scuba diving besties, and then click on search. Congratulations, scuba diving besties.biz is available. Let's just close this out. .com is available, and if you wanted to buy it, you can just click on buy it. Now this is on Bluehost. You can see what's available: DNS management, ID protection. That's about $3.99 per year. Maybe you don't want people to know who bought this particular domain name, etc. Now this is on Bluehost. The other website that has been there for a while is kenyawebsiteexperts.com, and you can also check them out for hosting. Let's say we want basic web hosting. Let's just go to the options available. You can see what they have: 30 GB, 300 GB, 2,100 per year. You can start now, and the amount of RAM available, the speed, etc. Depending on how much you want to spend. The cheapest is 2,100, 7,100. You can just check them all out. For example, if we go back, let's say web hosting, this is how much it costs. Not sure why this says 0. Oh, okay, they have a trial, 30-day trial period, and you can also check all these options out and see what works for you. The same thing we had on SasaHost, where you can check out the different options available. Now, that's more or less a breakdown on how you can start or create a WordPress blog for beginners. We've walked over the basics in this introduction. So in the next series of tutorials, we are going to get into the basics of creating a website, but not basics necessarily is the meat of things. We are going to create a website from this particular domain name that we searched, everyday family nutrition.com that we just searched on instant domain search, and then we see how it goes. And for this, I'm just going to be using SasaHost and go for this particular plan. Just nothing complicated here. I've decided to choose SasaHost because I've used them in the past and I know how the cPanel looks like. I know how everything looks like. So join me in the next videos so that I can show you how to create your WordPress blog or website for beginners step by step. I hope that you're going to enjoy this particular series of videos and that you're going to learn something. My name is David. Thank you for watching this series.